Hello, my wonderful, wonderful friends. Welcome back to r/PettyRevenge, where you'll hear stories about people who went for the smaller victories against somebody instead of just decimating someone's life. Guys, I love Petty Revenge because I find the stories absolutely hilarious. And sometimes I even learn a thing or two. My friends, in this episode, there's going to be 4 stories. The first story, OP and his girlfriend get petty revenge on their disgusting roommates. The second story, OP tells a story of how he defeated an entitled Karen. The third, OP gets a porch pirate evicted. And we'll finish up with a petty revenge on good old grandma. My friends, I hope you stay for the stories today, and do hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more petty revenge stories in the future. Let's dive in. So this happened last month. By some universal coincidence, my girlfriend and I ended up living with another couple in a rented house to split costs. It was a big house, so each couple would have their own bathroom, bedroom, and we shared the common places like the kitchen and the living room. The house was originally owned and rented out by a coworker, who at the time of the story was no longer in the house anymore, but all the furniture was his, and he gifted it all to me when he left. The other couple was really annoying. They would leave their dirty dishes in the sink with rotten food and only wash them on the weekend. They liked to leave their dog to poop all over the house too. And one time, the guy was cooking in a pair of torn up shorts and his underwear was very visible, and this made my girlfriend really uncomfortable. Anytime I talked to them about the issues that bothered us, they would improve for a few days, and then all the bad habits came right back. The last straw was this past summer. It was really hot, and these bastards liked the AC at full blast day and night, even when they weren't home. If I turned it off, they would get mad and immediately turn it on after telling me how they could not sleep without the AC at max. Okay, fine, so I did my best to wear a hoodie and sleep with my winter clothes on in the middle of summer, just so they would be comfortable and for the sake of saving a few bucks in rent money because we didn't want to find another place. And then of course, the inevitable happened. The electric bill came, and it was 4 times higher than usual, so it was a lot. I talked to the other couple about how their use of electricity was out of control, and why we should split the bill 25-75, since me and my girlfriend are almost never home. It turned into a huge fight, and his only argument was that we all use the electricity, and we all use the AC, so we should pay the same. He wouldn't listen to my arguments, so there was nothing I can do. I ended up paying half like usual, which was not fair. After this, the guy and his girlfriend made me pay for their comfort. They started doing a lot of passive-aggressive stuff, like throwing out my unspoiled food, while they would leave their rotten food in the fridge, or they'd use their TV at the highest volume while I tried to sleep. I knew I had to get out of that house. There was no money being saved anymore due to the high cost of the bills. We found an affordable and comfortable house with plenty of room for our dogs, so we pulled the trigger. We talked to the owner of the rental house about us leaving, and he had no problem at all, so it was all set. We waited until the two were on vacation for the weekend and took every last thing we owned out of the house and moved out. I left them without any furniture or appliances. No stove, no microwave, not even a table to eat on. I left my keys at the entrance of the bedroom door with a note that said, "We couldn't handle your attitudes anymore, so we left with our belongings. Have a nice life wasting your own money. OP." The owner of the house, who became a very good friend of mine, later told me that the couple told him how I took all of their belongings. He knew the items were mine and told them otherwise. I wish I was there to see the look on their faces when they got home to that empty house. Have fun eating fast food on the floor. Guys, if they left dirty dishes in the sink and moldy food in the fridge, I don't even want to know what their private bathroom looks like. Guys, the couple sounds like a bunch of disgusting slobs, and I feel so bad for OP to have to live with them. Guys, if you've ever lived with disgusting roommates, please share your comments below, and I'd love to share them in the next video. When I was around 12 years old, I was walking through City Market with my mom, where the quiet buzzing of the lights were only slightly annoying. All seemed well, and I decided to go off to get one of the sample cookies from the back. Seems perfectly normal, right? So, I grabbed my cookie, which happened to be the last non-burnt one, as another family is coming into the back aisle. I'm not a particularly social person, so I decided to walk away. This family consisted of a mother and a son, the son being maybe 5 or 6 years old by my estimates, wearing a vibrant and disgusting shade of yellow. The mom had a typical Karen haircut and a bland red-colored sweater on over a bright white shirt and brand new looking skinny jeans. They realized there aren't any more non-burnt cookies, which in my opinion, shouldn't be a problem. Cookies are cookies, especially free ones. The child wails horrifically and notices that my cookie, that I haven't taken a bite out of yet, wasn't burnt. Wonderful observation skills, little Timmy. The mom approaches me and asks in a sickly sweet tone, one that you can tell is obviously faked, if I wouldn't mind giving my cookie to her kid. I wasn't sure if the tone was from her having a headache from dealing with her kid, or if she wasn't a nice person. But seeing the kid was young, I chose to be nice and broke my cookie in half, offering one half to the kid, because I wasn't about to miss out on eating my cookie. Nor was I about to grab another one, as I felt it would just be rude to the next people. The kid looked confused at this, which immediately felt off. The mom's face contorted from nice to confused to offended very quickly, as if not offering the entire cookie had somehow forsaken her entire family. I was naturally confused, and realizing what was happening a bit too late, backed away and tried to walk away. The lady placed her hand on my shoulder, preventing me from walking away. She held out her other hand, as if expecting me to just hand my cookie to her. Let me once again state that I had tried to share, but Karen and her little hellspawn didn't seem to understand the concept of sharing because he cried, like his world was crumbling around him. I managed to pull away from the iron grasp of the lady and speed walked away. She marched up to me and tried to take the cookie from me. Before she could, a light bulb flickered on in my head. I stuffed the entire cookie into my mouth. Now, these cookies were fairly big, bigger than the basic sugar cookies they used to give, so my mouth was stuffed. For a moment, Karen and her child are silent, stunned by what they had just witnessed. 10 seconds later, the gates of hell are ripped from their hinges. Karen exploded at me, screeching profanities at me, many of which I surprisingly hadn't heard before. I stood there with the smuggest grin on my face as I slowly chewed on the cookie, continuing to rub salt in the wound until the profanities turned into discernible noises. Was it wrong for me to do so? Probably. Do I regret doing so? Absolutely not. I personally would have licked the whole cookie and then given it to her, but eating it is so much better. OP's way smarter than I am. I lived in an apartment building. As a member of the local free gifting community, we put out gifts on a regular basis for people to pick up. We also made appointments with people to pick up their gifts, usually within an hour of us setting them out, so there was no issue with trash sitting out. The property manager lived in the building and assured us that there were zero issues with the gifts sitting on the front porch for pickup. The gifts were almost always labeled or in paper bags with a name on them. At some point, I started getting complaints that gifts were not there to pick up when I had set them out. I made sure to tighten the appointment pickup times, clearly label who the gifts were for, and hide things in clearly labeled bags, but they kept going missing. We had had some issues with porch pirates stealing gifts from others, so I didn't consider right away that it was someone in our building, until I noticed a pattern of what time the gifts were being stolen, often within minutes of being set out. If they were out at 5 p.m., the rest of the gifts in the area were being stolen in the evening. I got very upset when a gift for a newborn was stolen at lunchtime. I posted in the group that I needed glitter to stop the porch pirates and was gifted some in bright indigo. I wrote a note that said, "Stop stealing gifts for other people," and put it in a paper bag. I folded the bag down double with the edges sticking out for easy open and stapled one end. I then used the straw to funnel the glitter into the fold so it would fly out everywhere when opened, and stapled the other end. I labeled the bag with a highly distinctive name on it and set it out on the porch at 4:45 p.m. with instructions to my partner that if it was still there at 10 p.m. when he got home to bring it inside. Then I just waited. I don't know what I expected, maybe some screams or something, but I didn't hear anything, and the bag had disappeared. 5 days later, I finally broke down and asked the property manager if anything strange had happened recently. She said, as a matter of fact, someone had called to hire a carpet cleaner for an off-scheduled cleaning because they had spilled blue glitter on their carpet. I gave her details that I had put a gift out full of glitter, but it disappeared immediately before my intended recipient could get it. Because the glitter had been a consequence of them stealing from their neighbors, and there was no way to get all the glitter out of the carpet, they were charged for the damages of a full carpet replacement when they left. And best yet, because theft is a violation of community agreements, their lease was terminated and they were evicted with 20 days notice. That person definitely deserved the eviction. I absolutely hate porch pirates, guys, and I hope that person is cursed with expensive shipping costs and getting their packages stolen forever. I was raised by my abusive grandparents. My grandfather isn't worth mentioning, and my grandmother died when I was 15. She had an aneurysm while on the toilet, dying with the same grace she had while still alive. I'm in my mid-30s now, and I don't often think of her, but I do keep one small petty habit. Grandmother was a seamstress, and her most prized possession was a pair of super sharp, fancy, expensive dressmaking shears. I once used them to cut paper, and she made me sleep on the porch for a week. When she died, one of the few things I asked for were those scissors. I have used them to cut everything but fabric for the last 2 decades. I use and ruin them in the kitchen. I use them for crafts, for projects around the house. The other day I used them as a hammer when I was too lazy to get the toolbox. It's stupid and petty, but nothing beats the tiny spark of malicious glee that I feel every time I use those scissors to cut duct tape and then pry open a paint can. Here's to you, Nana. I hope you went to heaven because I know there's nothing you hated more than the happiness of others. I do understand the scissors thing though. I didn't know this before a few years ago, but scissors can get pretty darn pricey. So I've got a few friends who are hairdressers that own scissors that cut hair, and they paid $800 for the scissors. And that brings us to another end of r/PettyRevenge. Thanks for stopping by and listening to the stories. Guys, if you missed the last episode on this channel, it's an r/Entitled People episode, where a Karen gets friggin' tasered by trying to pull a customer's face mask off their face. If you guys missed it, go check it out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.